Ghost in the New York City by A Shark's Reading Glasses on AO3. Chapter 2 Super Sensations. Danny gulped past the nerve in his stomach as he held his phone away from his face. The screen a beacon in the dark hotel room. Jazz had turned in for the night, so Danny had felt safe enough to pull out the note Spider-Man had given him and carefully save the hero's number and started a simple text. Now, all he had to do was send it. Of course, he had texted Tucker and Sam earlier, sharing the photo Spider-Man had taken with him, telling them both about the note and asking them if he thought he should do it. They had blown up his phone with texts in seconds, encouraging him to take the once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Danny breathed deeply, one last time, and hit send. 2. Arachnophobia. Spiderweb emoji, spider emoji, spiderweb emoji, question mark? It's ghost emoji. From Arachnophobia. Ghost emoji? Explanation mark, explanation mark, explanation mark. Hey man, what's up? 2. Arachnophobia. That option to hang out still open? From Arachnophobia. Absolutely, dude. When are you free? 2. Arachnophobia. Pretty much whenever. I have to be back at the hotel by 5, but other than that, I'm good. From Arachnophobia. Sweet. Meet me here tomorrow at 1 p.m. and I'll bring the best burgers you've ever had. 2. Arachnophobia. I'll see you then. Danny floated invisibly around their designated meeting spot 15 minutes before their scheduled time, his tail nervously twisting and trying itself in knots. He had gotten another text from Spider-Man while he was at the Natural History Museum earlier that morning. He reached for his phone and checked the text again. From Arachnophobia. Hey, so a friend of mine has decided to be an asshole and says he's going to hang out with us. If that bothers you, we could totally reschedule. He won't be there for a while, so we'll still have time to chat if you want. 2. Arachnophobia. Do you mind if we meet up a little early so I can talk to you a bit and think about it? Is he another hero? From Arachnophobia. No problem, man. And kind of. He doesn't like to be called a hero, but I trust him regardless. Danny put his phone away and circled a few more laps around the apartment building they had decided to meet at, floating higher off the ground as he went until he was near the roof. Hey, Phantom, over here! Spider-Man yelled behind him, and Danny leaned back over in the air until he was upside down. Danny really was going to have to ask how he kept sensing him. Spider-Man was sitting on the roof ledge of the apartment building, facing a park, waving excitedly with one hand while the other held up a takeout bag. The bags had a synchronized word, stove, in a bottom, with the top line of the T reaching over the other letters. There was a slogan along the side of the bag and read Stovetop Burgers, the beefiest burgers around. Danny flew over, eclectic to stay invisible until he was at the roof. He turned visible and reformed his legs so that he was standing as Spider-Man waved him over to adjacent ledge and sat him down with his legs over the side, placing one of the takeout bags a little ways behind him and opening the other. Hey, glad you could make it, Spider-Man said as he rolled up the bottom part of his mask. You do anything interesting this morning? Danny picked up his allotted bag and sat on the edge as well, one leg dangling while he folded the other. Yeah, actually. Danny scammered and rummaged in the bag for a burger and started to unwrap it. I took your advice and went to the National History Museum. The space exhibit was cool. Awesome! Spider-Man beamed before taking a bite, chewing a bit and then swallowing. That was my favorite part to go as a kid. My aunt and uncle would take me there nearly every week. See if you could try the Biotic Gardens next. It's a bit of a hassle to get there from Queens, but totally worth it. Danny let out a tiny huff of laughter, thinking about all the exotic plants he could show Sam if he went there. Thanks, Danny said, and took a bite of his burger. He closed his eyes, let a little moan of enjoyment, leaned back a bit, and floated slightly off the edge before settling back down. Danny heard snickers and turned to look at Spider-Man while he took another big bite of his burger. "Told you I'd bring you the best burgers you've ever had," Spider-Man said, smugly, coming through his own bag and bringing a couple of fries to his mouth. "Kinda glad I'm a ghost right now," Danny said after he swallowed the second bite, smiling slightly, "because these burgers are to die for." Spider-Man coughed on his fries, bringing his free hand to pound in his chest before looking at Danny. "Was that a joke?" Spider-Man said, incredulously. "Did you just make a pun?" "It's one of the benefits of being dead," Danny said, looking over the edge towards the park and trying to appear loafy while preparing for another bite of his burger. "No one can kill you for making bad jokes." Danny peered over at Spider-Man while he heard a resigned groan and found the hero's face in one of his palms. "Oh my God," Spider-Man sighed. "You and Wade would get along fine." Danny perked up and set his burger back in his bag. "That's your friend's name?" Danny asked. "Wade?" Spider-Man flinched slightly before deflating a bit. "Yeah," Spider-Man said, settling his own burger down on its wrapper. "But he also goes by Deadpool." Danny's brain stuttered a bit before firing on ciders. "Deadpool?" Danny repeated hesitantly. "Like the mercenary?" Spider-Man flinched again. "Yeah, like the mercenary," Spider-Man said, but then hazily added, "But he's not that bad, honestly. Like I told you earlier, I totally trust him." Danny paused and thought, picking up his burger and taking a bite just for something to do. As he chewed, he thought about all the propaganda his parents blasted about ghosts, about how they were all evil, and all horrible things they said about his alter ego. And then he thought about clockwork, and the last words he spoke to Danny reverting in his head. Everyone deserves a second chance. "Why?" Danny asked. "Why do you trust him so much?" Spider-Man leaned back a bit on the edge and looked towards the park. "When I first started out this hero thing, like really started hitting the streets, I got into a bit of a spot," Spider-Man started. "I stopped a real bad deal from going down, and someone put a hit on me." Spider-Man paused to take the last bite of his burger and then leaned back, swinging his feet and hitting the walls. "A couple days later, I see Deadpool stalking me while I'm on patrol, and I freak out. I book it out of there as fast as I can. Practically led him on a wild goose chase all over New York. Eventually, I ran out of webs and got cornered on a roof, and I thought, this is it, I'm dead." Danny floated off the edge in anticipating, wiggling his ghost tail that had formed in the absence, while Spider-Man continued. "And he just says, 'Hey, Spidey,'" Spider-Man says in a mockingly deep voice. "I'm a huge fan." Danny blinked owishly, and Spider-Man laughed at his bewildered expression. "Yeah," he said fondly. "Turns out he was watching my back, making sure I didn't get blindsided by another mercenary because he has this thing against killing kids." That made Danny pause. Most of the ghosts he fought were all too willing to go all out against a said child. "So what?" Danny huffed in slight disbelief, settling his own burger down in his bag. "He's a mercenary with an honors code?" As soon as he asked the question, Danny froze as he breathed mist. A ghost? Here? But he didn't have enough time to look around when they were ambushed. "Nope," a voice shouted from behind them, and an opening appearance on Spider-Man's shoulder. Spider-Man flinched, while Danny shot up in the air as he turned intangible. "I'm a mercenary with a mouth." "God damn it, Wade!" Spider-Man yelled as he turned, slapping Deadpool's arm off his shoulder and punching him in the arm. "I told you to stop doing that." Danny slowly drifted back down towards his spot as his core thrummed with excessive energy before gradually going down to normal, making sure that he stayed tangible as Spider-Man continued to berate Deadpool. He eyed the shade that had wrapped itself around one of Deadpool's arm, and it had stared him back. "This is the ghost kid you were talking about?" Deadpool asked as he pulled one of his hands on Spider-Man's shoulders and leaned into him with all his weight. He's so tiny. Oh my god, he's adorable! Spider-Man groaned in annoyance and elbowed Deadpool in the chest. Deadpool flinched back with a soft huff. Wade, Spider-Man said in seriousness as he pushed Deadpool off. He's gel bait. I can and will tie you up and leave you here dangling off the roof of this building. And by adorable, Deadpool said with a fake cheer as he settled himself on the edge on the other side of Spider-Man. I meant puppy-like and harmless-looking. Danny felt a bit muffled by that. It wasn't his fault he hadn't hit his growth spurt yet. And that guys like Deadpool and Dash who ate 2 whole cows for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Feeling a rush of recklessness, bravery, Danny turned tangible and settled on the edge, leaning over and flipped Deadpool off with the whine of an elastic form of his middle finger. Oh, screw you, Danny said, with mock offense. Considering I know a ghost puppy that is 10 times scarier than you are, I'll take that as a compliment. Deadpool sputtered in indignity, while Spider-Man threw back his head in laughter. Danny, Spider-Man said, as he caught his breath, this is my asshole friend who's actually a pretty nice guy. Wade, also known as Deadpool. Wade, this is Danny Phantom. Deadpool faked a shocked gasp and brought his hand to his side of his face in mock defense. Spilling my secrets already, Spidey! Oh, the betrayal! Deadpool brought his hands back down and kicked his feet. Also, stop telling people I'm nice. You're ruining my street cred. Spider-Man smiled, good-naturedly wide, munching on a few more fries, and Danny chuckled quietly until he hiccuped on more cold mist. Both Spider-Man and Deadpool paused. Hey, Phantom, Spider-Man said, hesitantly. Are you okay? What was that? Danny sighed as he finished the rest of his burger, hiccuping on another ghostly breath. I call it my ghost sense, Danny answered, taking a moment to glare at the little shade that had migrated from Deadpool's arm to arch around Spider-Man and slink off some of the excess ectoplasm. It happens when another ghost is around. Don't worry, it'll stop eventually. Spider-Man stammered, looking around the other roof and street below. There's another ghost here? You don't have to worry about it, Danny reassured as he discreetly shooed the shade away, watching it sink back to Deadpool in his Persevi. It's just a shade. A what now? Deadpool asked. A shade, Danny explained, balling up his wrapper. It's basically like a charged ball of ectoplasm that has been imprinted with emotions. It's kind of like a baby specter. Wait, Spider-Man asked as he grabbed another handful of fries. Isn't a specter and a ghost the same thing? It's just the way they're classified, Danny clarified, playing with the balled wrapper between his hands. Ghosts are just a category of entities, or beings made of ectoplasm. Shades are the weakest, but if they eventually gather more ectoplasm into themselves, they can become poltergeists, wraiths, or specters. So you're really a ghost then? Deadpool asked, pulling his head in his hands and leaning on his elbows on one of his legs. Not a mutant with ghostly powers, like an actual ghost? Kinda, Danny mused, throwing his wrapper in his takeout bag and winding his ghost tail that he had formed again. The other ghosts I know call me a halfa, though I don't know if that means I'm a half ghost and half human or half alive, half dead. That sounds complicated, Deadpool said as he perked up excitedly. How the fuck does that work? Wait, Spider-Man hissed, slapping his arm out in front from under his head. You can't just ask him that. Well, Danny answered, letting go of his tail and bringing one hand to tap at his chin in thought. It depends. Sometimes I'm half in the grave, and sometimes I'm half out of it. Spider-Man sighed in exasperation, and Deadpool sat up and made a signal tapping clap with his hands. That's it, Deadpool announced. I've decided, Spidey. I'm replacing you with Phantom as my new platonic superhero soulmate. You no longer have soulmate privileges. Wade, No, Spider-Man groaned. Wade, yes. Deadpool replied while shaking Spider-Man by his shoulders. It's perfect. I'm forever undying. He's periodically dying. And we even share the same alter ego alternatives. Come on, Spidey. It's practically fate. Wade, Spider-Man said in irritation. Yeah, boo? Deadpool responded, and Spider-Man reached into his take-out bag and pulled out a tropical ball tea. Drink your boba tea and shut up. Spider-Man sighed and shoved the tea in Deadpool's arm. Fine. Deadpool concealed as he rolled up the bottom of his mask and sipped his drink, leaning slightly into Spider-Man. You can keep your privileges. Danny chuckled as Spider-Man groaned and activated again before Danny decided to... Yeah, boo? Deadpool responded, and Spider-Man reached into his takeout bag again and pulled out a tropical ball tea. Drink your boba and shut up, Spider-Man sighed and shoved the tea into Deadpool's arms. Fine, Deadpool concealed as he rolled up the bottom of his mask and sipped his drink, leaning slightly into Spider-Man. You can keep your privileges. Danny chuckled as Spider-Man groaned in obligation again, before Danny decided to leave deeper into their current topic. Hey, Spider-Man? Danny started, nibbling on some fries. Can you explain something? How the heck did you even know I was here? You knew I was around you yesterday and today, even though I was invisible. Oh, Spider-Man replied, excitedly, bringing out the rest of his fries from his takeout bag. That's my Spidey senses. It lets me get a better idea of my surroundings and alerts me if I'm in danger. I'm not really sure how it works. I thought it had something to do with my spider mutation, but now I'm not sure. Danny asked, confused, scratching at his hair. You're what now? My spider mutations. See, spiders have these tiny microhairs covering their entire body that can help them feel vibrations in the ground and air, Spider-Man explained, picking up some fries while Deadpool slurped on the bubble tea, stealing a couple fries from Spider-Man every now and then. So I have something like that too, but whenever I'm around you, my spidey senses always go off. Hey, Phantom, do you have any idea why my spidey senses go crazy when I'm around you? Danny paused, fries frozen halfway between his mouth, still feeling muffled at the harmless puppy comparison. Danny got a wonderfully awful idea and put his fries back in his bag. I have two guesses, I think. Danny started, making a great show of tapping his chin again. I'm still considered an ecto entity, meaning I'm at least partially made up of ectoplasm. But ectoplasm is basically an energy source depending on the state it's in. What? You mean like if it's solid or liquid? Spider-Man asked. No, not exactly, Danny answered, waving his hands around. Ectoplasm is like I can't think of the word. It's like corn, starch, and water. A non-Newtonian fluid? Spider-Man filled as he continued to stack on his remaining fries. Yes! Danny snapped his fingers and then pointed at Spider-Man. A non-Newtonian fluid. Basically, the more powerful the energy of a ghost gets, the more solid and tangible they are. But at some point, a ghost can get too powerful and they could basically start leaking ambient ectoplasm around themselves. Huh? Spider-Man said, hands still in a motion to obtain more fries. What's your second guess? Danny made a show of tilting his head and smiling innocently. You said your spidey senses go off if you're in danger, right? Danny asked. Spider-Man stammered nervously. Yeah? Danny smiled, turned devilish, as he turned his hand tangible and put it midway through Spider-Man's chest. Spider-Man made a noise of cracked surprise, while Deadpool watched with interest. I can literally rip out your lungs whenever I feel like it. Danny said, using his ghost voice and making sure to smile wide enough to show his sharp teeth. Simon Tucker had told him that his ghost voice sounded like a mix of static words stitched together from different radio stations. But to Danny, it just sounded a little more deep. Intimidating Spider jolted and crushed his container of flies while Deadpool choked on his bubble tea, swiftly turned his head, and sprayed out his drinking and coughing out Toba balls to the street below. Danny quickly pulled out his arm and drifted in front of them, floating on the air as he curled in a ball and tried to contain his laughter. "Okay," Deadpool said, with chic cheer after he caught his breath, and Spider-Man clutched his suit where Danny's hand had been. "Where's your receipt? Because I would like to get a refund. Your platonic superhero soulmate status is revoked." Still shaking with stifled chuckles, Danny uncurled and oriented himself so that he was outstretched on his back, looking at the pair upside down. "Still think I'm a harmless-looking puppy?" Danny asked, making sure his eyes glowed a little more intensely. Both Spider-Man and Deadpool bristled, and Danny concluded that now would probably be the best time to reassure them. He turned over on his stomach and laid his hand on his arms, lowering the intensity glow on his eyes. "You should have seen your faces. Honestly, the second part was a joke. I don't have nearly enough power or concentration to do that. The most I can do is turn all of you intangible." "That was a pretty shitty joke, Phantom," Spider-Man hissed, crossing his arms while the lenses of his marks narrowed in a glare. So I've been told," Danny shrugged. "But I spent most of my time with ghosts whose idea of a good time is trying to kill each other while they're already dead. No hard feelings?" Spider-Man and Deadpool glanced at each other before Spider-Man sighed and dropped his arms. "No hard feelings," Spider-Man echoed. "Just don't do that. Ever. Again." "Will do," Danny said as he straightened up, his ghost tail curling around him comfortably. There was a slight pause before Danny snickered and spoke again. "But you really should have seen your faces." "Phantom," Spider-Man called out in annoyance. "Anyways, thanks for the food. Bye." Danny laughed out before turning tail and heading towards his hotel. Okay, so there's a bunch of lines in this whole fanfic in general that I note down because I love these lines. And one of them appeared in this chapter specifically, which is the "Stop telling people I'm nice. You're ruining my street cred." I love that line for some reason. It fills my heart. It itches my brain. For some reason, I don't know. It just scratches that part of my brain. But yeah, can we talk about Peter Parker, Spider-Man, and Danny just going nerd for like a bit second? Like I had to search up what the liquid thingy was. I still forget. Hold up. It's over here. Pronunciation. The non-nutenical fluid. I forgot how to say it. Honestly. But yeah, I had to search up how to say that because I didn't know how to say that, and then what it is. I still don't 100% know what it is. So yeah, that's nice. I am a totally normal person when it comes to this fanfic. Not at all geeking out, twirling my hair, giggling like a maniac. No, I am a normal human being when it comes to this fanfic and this crossover. Totally. As always, make sure to eat, sleep, drink water, take your meds, have a wonderful day or night. Join our community Discord server, link is in the description. Subscribe to see more of my content, and thank you so much for watching.